friends, if you're watching this, it's because the weather event that they predicted actually happened. And so we're worshiping from home today. Pastor today is teaching on prayer. And he asked if I would take a few minutes and join in with him and just share a few thoughts and ideas about prayer. We're in the series on Build, and there's nothing really more important than learning to pray, building our prayer life. It builds our life, it builds our family, it builds our church. I'm going to narrow it down to just 2 or 3 key thoughts, a few key issues about prayer. I've jotted a few thoughts down, and so let me just share them with you. I want to begin with talking to you about the object of prayer. The object is the who and the where of our prayers. And there are 3 basic categories under that. And one is we pray for our personal life. We pray for breakthrough in our inner man. We pray in our heart. We pray for circumstances, the physical, financial, the relational circumstances that we're dealing with. And we also pray for ministry opportunities where we can give God glory. That's personal. So always include those personal prayer things in your prayer. And then you pray for others. That's still under object. We pray for others for their physical and spiritual needs. We pray for ministers and missionaries and churches. We pray for others in our community. We pray for our friends. So we pray for ourselves. We pray for others. And then we pray for issues, and maybe that's kind of a broad category, but we pray for our government. We pray for our cities, and we pray for our nation. We pray for the marketplace, for national disasters, so things that are happening around us where we know God needs to intervene, and that's what we pray for. And so that's the praying for others part of it. And so what I'm suggesting is all 3 of these areas make up the object of your prayers, the who and the where of your prayers. Now, the next part of our prayer is the expectation of our prayer. Now, the expectation speaks to the how and the what of our prayer. It's our focus on how we expect God to intervene. And I think anytime we pray, we need to have an expectation of what the answer should be. We need to have an idea of what we're believing God for. I don't think we always process it in those terms, but I mean, what are you praying for? Why are you praying? And so I think there's 3 ways that we will see how God will answer. And first of all, he answers according to the gifts of the Spirit. In other words, God's power. We're praying, believing that God's power and favor will be released. The second is he answers according to the fruit of the Spirit. We're praying, believing that God's character will be formed in us or in someone else. And then the third thing is we're praying for the wisdom of the Spirit, that God's mind or the spirit of revelation will be imparted to us for a person or a situation. As you work through a prayer list or spend time in prayer, use these expectations and watch how the answers line up. So I'm asking you to use these 3 different expectations to identify your prayer request, because I think any prayer request we have will fit in one of these categories. Now, I know sometimes we think we're so busy we can't take the time to pray, but you've heard it said we're too busy not to pray. And just one other thought about these requests. Speaking out a request is very different than thinking a request. When we verbalize our requests, it helps us control our thought life. It helps us stay on track. And even when we pray silently, we fight random thoughts bouncing around in our minds. But when you verbalize these requests, even if it's a whisper, your minds will go in the direction of your words. So I would encourage you to keep in mind the object of prayer and the expectation of prayer. And I love what it says in Philippians 4:6. Don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank Him for all He's done.